So, hello everyone.
I, Magdi, I stopped seeing you. I don't know why.
Oh,
Okay, not now I see you.
okay. Technology, the
It's
magic.
magic.
So, if we can sort of take this moment to turn our attention towards the presence that we are, the stillness, the peace, and invite this, invite yourself to that presence, awareness. Allowing things to be as they are. Feeling, sensing, perceiving whatever wants to express itself through you, to you. So a thought may arise. It can be perceived. From a place of stillness, a place of peace. Notice the breath. The gentle rhythm of the body, breathing. The entire space of presence, of awareness, breathing. Without following any thought, without trying to figure out anything. Simply to be aware of being, aware of the peace. No need to know. No need to do anything. As a thought arises, nothing is needed. remaining fresh, not knowing, and no need to know. Resting as you are, whatever that is. No need for any story. No need for an explanation. No need for yesterday or tomorrow, whatever that is. A gentle, sweet, mystery of being. Not thinking about it. Sensing without knowing, without formulating any interpretation. Without labeling. The peace of being. Notice there are no borders to awareness. There are no borders to that which is, whatever that is. Notice the formlessness of awareness. How thoughts appear as a mirage, as a dream. The perception arises as a mirage, as a dream. You, awareness, do not arise. You are that knowingness, that beingness, that transparency of being, transparency of awareness. You are that. to invite yourself to this recognition. Allow yourself to sink into it. Holding on to nothing. The inner radiance shining through you as love, as peace, as beauty. Loving everything effortlessly. Being love, being beauty, being the peace of being that. Without any doing, no effort. Resting as that. Resting. At the heart of awareness. Whatever thought may arise, all is well. I remain as I am, undefined and undefinable. Notice there are no edges, no borders to what you truly are, to awareness. Although one could say the body is local, awareness is not local. Although one may say that the body is a personal experience, a mind experience, awareness is not a mind or a personal experience. It is that I am, that with which I know all mind events, and with which I know directly that I am. I do not need a medium. I do not need a perception or a thought to know I am. Although I need meditation, I need the mind to know an oak tree, and to know a palm tree. No mind, no thought is needed to know I am. This direct knowingness is available to the I am, is available to I. Whenever I turn my attention to it, it is. So I invite you to share whatever questions you may have, whatever you're interested in exploring. Let's take this time now to address whatever questions you may have. And at some point in time, I will address a couple of questions that were sent to me via email. But for now, if you have any questions.
Marty?
Yes, hello, Jenny.
Hello. I cannot see you again. I don't understand what happens because I was seeing you and then I don't see you anymore.
Well, I see you.
Okay, there you are.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I wanted to like review all the forms. Well, I don't know all the forms, but the most important ways we nourish the personal name. Not to do it, just the ways we are, yes, nourishing it, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Giving it food,
Mm-hmm.
making it real.
Well, our experience is always this moment, yes?
Yes, our experience is always this moment.
So, what is the reality of this moment?
Are you asking me?
Yes. Yes.
What is the reality of this moment?
Yes.
Well, it is here. It's awareness.
Yes.
It's presence.
Yes.
It's beingness. This is the reality of this moment.
Yes. So when in this moment we are clear that the reality is awareness, meaning we are not attributing any other reality.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's pretty easy for most of us to comprehend that there is only one reality.
Mhm.
And given that the reality of this moment is awareness, whenever we attribute reality to something else than awareness, at that very moment, there's been a sort of an assumed other reality. When there is an objective reality, what comes hand in hand with the objective reality is the subjective. So there is an object that now is real, whatever it may be. And there is a subject that is knowing that external reality. So at that moment, we have sort of a dual reality. And the reality of our experience in this moment, which is awareness, which we also know as I, that I now is diminished in a way by something else that is real. And so we experience a relationship with something outside of us that may impact us. It may impact us positively, or it may impact us negatively. We have, in objectifying an external reality, we have created value. There is now good and bad. There is good and bad because at the objective dimension, the object and the subject, there is the impression of limitation. Because when you have objects, they are limited. There is a limitation, a limit to them. There is a certain aspect to them that defines them. And they can impact upon each other. The external objects can impact upon each other. The objects can impact upon each other. And they can impact upon you. When you overlook the borderlessness, the formless, and the undefinable quality of awareness, and you create an external object via your thoughts, you have, at that same moment, you have reduced yourself to something separate from that object. And your wholeness, your totality, your infinity, your transparency is no longer your experience. Your experience has been replaced to being a personal mind. And the personal mind is a limited mind. And it has within it a yearning for the return to its totality, for the return to what its true nature is. It is seeking it. It senses that it is incomplete. And it's looking for its wholeness, which is the peace and the transparency of awareness. But whenever in the moment, in the present moment, you objectify an external world, you objectify a body, the objectification keeps you in the mind. So for you to free yourself from this outward force towards the world, towards the body, towards the mind, you need to bring the mind back to focus on its source. Like you train a puppy to sit at your feet. You have to go through some exercises to bring the mind back to its source. And the challenge is at the feeling level. Because when you overlook the reality of consciousness and the borderless and impersonal quality of consciousness, when you objectify it to a body mind, and you create the external world via this reduction. So there is a personal mind and a personal experience, a personal world that you're experiencing it. You're also feeling that you are this person. You are feeling that this is your family, that this is your house, that this is your life, that this is your job, that this is you're feeling that you are somebody, and the personal aspect is being lived from your feeling state. So you need also to invite yourself to approach feelings with complete dispassion, with a complete neutrality, and equanimity. So that the emotion does not have too much force to take you deeper into your emotions. So the personal self does not have any existence outside of how you are living this moment. If you are living this moment with the past and with the future, of course, because the past and the future, they come together. You are perceiving via the prism of the personal mind. And you will experience sorrow and hope, disappointment and elation. In every moment, meaning in this moment, you can turn your attention to this process the me in time process, without judgment and without any agenda, outside of the interest, an innocent interest in being truth. Whenever your interest is in freeing yourself, you have, of course, a genuine aspect to this interest, because our true nature is freedom. But also, in the background of your interest, there is also the personal interest that may be attempting to appropriate your genuine love for truth. Simply to be aware that there is nothing that we are actually doing, or nothing that is possible for us to do as a person. There is nothing that can be gained or lost for the person, because the person is an appearance within God's mind, and the world is an appearance within the character's mind, what we call the human mind. But it's all God's doing. So there is no personal gain or loss from the perspective of reality, because there is nothing actually wrong, there is nothing that's actually at stake, there is nothing that's actually off. It is all perfection. And this perfection is available to the human mind when it realizes what it truly is.
Thank you, Maggie.
Okay, Jim. Any question? So I will take this opportunity to answer Zoe's question. Hi, dear Magdi, I will be in class during satsang. If there is time, could you explain the term solipsism? I heard you mention it in a satsang when speaking with George, and would like some clarification. Thank you, Zoe. So, Zoe, a solipsist or solipsism refers to the notion that only my mind is real, meaning everything that I know and everything that exists within my mind. So you exist within my mind, the universe exists within my mind, New York City exists within my mind, and there is no other existence outside of my mind. So solipsism negates that there are other minds. It negates that although I know New York City, somebody else knows New York City as well. And New York City has an existence outside of my mind and is validated by the remaining 7 billion people on this planet who know of New York City. 10 or 12 million of which, or of whom, actually live in New York City. So solipsism is confuses, makes a big confusion between mind and consciousness. In the Advaitic teachings, which arise from the direct contemplation of our experience, everything is known via consciousness. Everything arises via consciousness and is known via awareness consciousness. And personal minds, one could say, is when consciousness, let's say, downloads itself or localizes itself within or as a certain mind, and perceives the world, or perceives feelings, thoughts, perceptions, and sensations via a particular localized mind. It's not the absolute perceiver, or the ultimate perceiver, is always I consciousness. But via the body-mind, I perceive New York City. Via the body-mind, it is consciousness that is the perceiver of New York City. So, and there are many body-minds that share New York City, that share their knowledge or their experience of New York City. We all agree that New York City is a very densely populated city, and we all agree that it is a city in the United States. We have what Francis Lucille refers to a intersubjective agreement among minds, among the 7 billion minds. There is an agreement that New York City exists. The solipsist mind rejects that. The solipsist mind says no. There are no knowledge, no other knowledge of New York City outside of the New York City that appears in my mind. So it negates and refutes the intersubjective agreement. And it does so because it is confusing the universality and the wholeness and the oneness of consciousness with their personal mind. In fact, makes sense for a solipsist to say that everything that I know I know via consciousness. And there is nothing that exists outside of consciousness. But instead, the solipsists say, everything I know it via my mind, and there is nothing that exists outside of my mind. So they have no inkling, first, that there are other minds besides their own mind, and they have no inkling that the infinite minds are nothing more, nothing else, but the localization of consciousness into infinite minds, sort of the download of consciousness into infinite minds. It is true that from the perspective of mind A, there is perception A. And from the perspective of mind B, is perception B. And that perception A and perception B differ. For example, when you are looking at an elephant from a certain perspective, you're perceiving a very specific perception of the elephant. Somebody who is sitting somewhere on the other side of the elephant is perceiving a totally different perspective, totally different image of the elephant than the image that you are perceiving. That is a fact. You can take a picture, photograph from two different angles, and you will see different pictures. But yet, we both agree it is the elephant. It is an elephant. So there is an agreement, there is an agreement, a recognition that although there are different minds, different perceptions, there is something else that connects us in our agreement. And what connects us in our agreement is consciousness. Also, it is important to understand that although from mind A, there is image A, and from mind B, there is image B. When you ask yourself the question, what is it that perceives? You always come to the same reply, which is I perceive. And this I is not two I's. Because if there is something real about the perception, if there is a reality about perception A, and a reality about perception B, given there is only one reality, the reality of perception A and the reality of perception B is the same reality, which brings us back to consciousness. The solipsistic mind does not acknowledge any of that. It only, I would say stupidly, defends the position that only what arises within my mind is real, nothing else. One may ask the following question to a solipsist, to whom are you talking? If only your mind and the content of your mind is real, then who are you talking to? Okay, Zoe, I know, Zoe, you're not listening now, but I will post this on YouTube. So any questions? Mm. So I will go to another question that was sent to me. Hi, Magdi. I have a question about consciousness that has been puzzling me. Does everything have consciousness? Does a rock, a tree have consciousness? Tori. So, Tori, consciousness is not something that can be had or not had, that belongs to a stone or belongs to a tree. From consciousness perspective, there is just consciousness. Only the reality of consciousness. There is one reality. Only awareness is real from the perspective of awareness. But when consciousness downloads itself as a body-mind, when it somehow overlooks its infinity, its transparency, its reality, and decides to feel itself, experience itself as a body-mind, a particular body-mind. It will perceive that consciousness is within this body-mind. That now I am sort of a piece, part of consciousness. And you are another part. And the stone is another part, and the tree is another part. When you contemplate that consciousness in experiencing the world via a particular body-mind does not actually become a body-mind. Rather, it is, one could say, like dreaming itself to be a body-mind. It's not actually, there is no reality to something else outside of consciousness. In other words, it does not actually become something else. Consciousness cannot become something else. It is the totality. It is the one reality. So there is nothing else that is possible, and neither is it needed or required. So within consciousness, there is a body-mind impression. And so consciousness is experiencing itself as a body-mind. and is perceiving rocks and trees. But these rocks and trees, they exist within the mind of that particular body. And that particular body, including the content of that particular body's mind, belong to consciousness, arise within consciousness. So both the particular body mind and the content of that particular body mind, they are consciousness's dream. So from that perspective, one could say that both the personal body mind as well as the content of that particular mind's, the content of that particular mind, their substance, their reality, what they are made of, is consciousness. It is not that there is consciousness inside the rock or consciousness inside a tree, because there's actually no reality to it, no particular reality to a tree or to a rock outside of consciousness. The reality of the rock and the tree is consciousness, although they arise within the personal mind. But the personal mind and its content, its reality is consciousness. So it's like in your night dream. In your night dream, when you are dreaming that you are a bird and you are flying and you see an insect and you are hungry and you eat that insect. The insect that the bird is seeing, the insect is arising within the bird's mind. But the bird, including its perception, including the insect that arose within the bird's mind, they are arising within you and out of you, you being the dreamer. So it's the metaphor of the night dream that you can apply to the waking dream. So in the waking dream, I dream, I meaning consciousness, dream that I am this particular body mind. And these perceptions, the perceptions and the thoughts and the sensations arise within that particular body mind. But that body mind, including all its content, arise within consciousness, and consciousness is their reality. Okay, Tori, so that addresses your question. So any questions here? Well, I would like to remind us that there is a weekend retreat, Saturday and Sunday, July 27 and 28. So it's pretty soon. The details are on the meetup group as well as on my Facebook page. So a retreat is a great opportunity to go deeper into the contemplation, into the peace, to soak into the presence and to deepen one's inquiry and clarify some of the questions that we may have, and also to just enjoy the love of being together, the beauty of being together, the sweetness of being together, sort of sitting together around the same fire. Sharing the love, celebrating the love, the beauty, the innocence, the freshness of our true nature, our childlike quality of consciousness. Not childish in any way, but very, very sweet and embracing and sort of dissolves all internal conflicts. It's the elixir of life consciousness. Isn't it so lovely that it's where we are, you know? It's you don't have to go digging for it or manufacture it in a lab or travel into other galaxies looking for it. It's really God's gift. God's gift is we are that the I that perceives, that is that, and it's so such intimacy. It's the most intimate. Speaking awkwardly, the most intimate thing. Another thing, it's the highest intimacy is the intimacy of consciousness. And when we're experiencing intimacy with somebody, we're actually experiencing the intimacy of consciousness. And as body minds, in a way, one could say it's the celebration of our truth, of what we are, of our true nature, that we celebrated in being together, in loving and listening and sharing and respecting and honoring what we truly are. So the path, the contemplation of truth takes us more and more into the peace, into the love, into the beauty, into that effortless recognition, recognizing everything and everybody as ourselves. The solution of all these notions and beliefs we have about ourselves, about others, it's so many subtle, they're like inner judgments in a way, that we deep down we don't like them, but somehow it takes a while to realize that and to let it go and to look with new eyes, with the eyes that are not in time, that have no, they don't carry with them the past, they don't carry with them anything. It's just God's light shining through these eyes, and that's very beautiful. That's very beautiful. So it's not, they're not just shining, they're not shining through my eyes, they're shining through all eyes. And you know, sometimes is a small bit of dust in front of your eyes, it obscures your entire vision. And that's in a way what one could say the human condition is like that. There's like a little speck of dust somehow that is obscuring our vision. And in time, with God's grace and with our love for truth, we recognize everything and everyone as ourselves. And that's so beautiful. It's an inner recognition, a silent inner recognition that maybe I would say that becomes like breathing, like so natural that there is no one outside of that. There is no person who is experiencing that. It's just God experiencing herself. Of course, words can never fully express, but it's okay, they come close enough. Okay, well, very beautiful to be with you all. Thank you for your love and for your friendship. Namaste.